Hello there, good evening. It's good to see you here. This is Ghana Tonight, and I'm Kemeni Amano. Let's take a look at our top stories. Tonight, John Mahama flays President Akufo-Addo with a statue erected in his honor in the Western region, but the Upper Diskov Traditional Council comes to the rescue. I'll explain in a time. Also tonight, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia promises free university education for children of cocoa farmers. Tonight, we gauge responses to this campaign promise. Plus, we bring you the very latest on the minor son of Bishop Elisha Mwako, who was remanded at his latest hearing on manslaughter charges over the deaths of two 12-year-old girls in a car crash. Also, you want to stay with us because I tell you about the latest artist, newest artist on the block. I give you a clue. Think Medina Zongo Junction. You want to stay on for that. I'm Kemeni Amano. Be a part of the program. Join the conversation as we stream on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you use the hashtag GhanaTonight. I'll find your comment quicker. First things first, I want to bring you Ghana Brief now.
Relative calm has returned to Boko in the Upper East region after weeks of violence following the resurgence of the chieftaincy conflict. Peacekeeping forces made up of the police and military continue with intensified operations in the town to prevent an escalation of the resurgence and to fully restore peace. Training activities in the town, which had declined, are picking up and residents are going about their daily lives. The NDC flag bearer has slammed President Akufo-Addo for what he describes as self-glorification after the president unveiled a statue of himself in the Western region. John Mahama posits that President Akufo-Addo should demonstrate humility and allow others to praise him for his achievements rather than seeking personal gratification.
No akoye statue now they abesi ho no ankasa wako mumbo nsem mame no akopa huntuma what be that university of Ghana he nyina we chimo monsa mo mama no doctor nunto mi nimbe bi ode ko adwena sa.
Just recently, he went to Takrade to unveil his own statue instead of waiting for Ghanaians to bestow this honor on you. But you know you have not performed well, and so you are conferring several doctorate awards on yourself by scheming with the universities to honor you. There is nothing else left for you to do. Your time is up. In fact, you are bereft of ideas.
The vice presidential candidate of the MPP, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, has called on the overlord of Dagbon, Yana Mahama Abukari Gariba, at the Gbewa Palace in Yendi. In his remarks, he emphasized that peace and unity are needed to avert any potential tensions as the December 7 elections approach.
That will bring peace to this country from now to after the election. Yes, to make sure that nobody thinking evil will start anything bad in Dabo. We want peace in Dabo. To come and get blessings from the honor.
Now, leader and founder of the Movement for Change, Alan Kojo Chairman Ting, has accused the two leading political parties of implementing poor policies targeted at improving agriculture in the country over the last 32 years. He said the policies implemented by the parties during their terms in office has not made any impact to drive growth in the agricultural sector.
Policy direction of NDC and then MPP is only scratching the surface. is only scratching the surface. You see, for agriculture to become productive, there are four basic and critical requirements. One, it has to be market-led. Number two, it must be technology-driven. Number three, it must optimize value to farmers. And number four, it has to be on a large scale.
Have a Ghana brief there for you. Remember that you can be a part of anything we are discussing here on Ghana Tonight. Use the hashtag GhanaTonight on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. We'll be here to see your comments. Let's get to work now. Golden, shiny, and bold. The statue of President Akufo-Addo sparks controversy, but APA Disc of Chiefs have an explanation. Let's get into that right now.
I wish the statue would be removed. What has he done for us?
But runabout
I suggest the roundabout should have been completed first. He's still working, so there's no problem.
I will lead the youth of Sekenita Krade to relocate that statue to Chebi.
Tonight, public uproar over President Akufo-Addo's statue in the Western region. The statue was erected at the Ifiankwanta runabout during the president's thank you tour of the region. Now, a section of the public have described the gesture as insensitive of the times we live in, just like you heard. The latest to join in the criticism is the NDC flag bearer, who tonight slams President Akufo-Addo for what he describes as self-glorification.
As a Somisha, Evie and Soshe. Somisha, Nevie Yen in Soshe. And no Akufo-Addo by me pamwa chomun Somisha. Me pamwa chomun Somisha. Me pamwa chomun Somisha. And no ne Yen Soshe and ne. Ezu. Now ne Ose of a home. And no call Takradi now no in the statue of Kosiho. Or no alcohol park on Toma. What to be that? Ezu. I was say on my penibia unya hobrase. Nipa ne was on mobile abaso. No more come for. And ya one casa. No alcohol statue. Now they are basi ho. No one casa wako. Mumbo some mammy. No alcohol park on Toma. What to be that? Ezu. No alcohol university bia. Yema o doctor. Abra o dasu yo man penyo. Anka o de wie na ko nom ka say oh ye hwe wejuma o ya de say enti ye pese wo ba ne bo abaso ne ma honorary doctorate university wo Ghana he nyina we chimo monsa mo mama no doctor no to me nimbe bi o de ko ezu eza enti agena san bibia mbeka hobium ne omu be ya no ma ye no. And so be say, my buying a wasso, also my buyer air bano. A best sanya, my buying a ye. Na abaye a buying fufro. Na my ye, my sister, my buying. Again, and send Basabasani.
Now, this is not the first statue the president has had recently. 2 months ago, at the commission of the Jamestown Fishing Harbour in Accra, a bust went up for him. Well, now with barely 2 months to leave office, the president isn't the only one freezing his image in time on a slab of concrete. Now, 3 weeks ago, the woman put in charge of Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office, Mamitiwa Adodankwa, reported to her office to be pleasantly surprised by the uncanny image of herself in a lawn area now named after her, Obatampa Tiwa Gardens. But tonight, I'll tell you more about what's happening. But let's take a look at Tiwa.
Obatampa, well done. That's how we build it. Well done. Congratulations. Well done. Well done. Well done. This place is known as Obatampa. Well done.
So that was 3 weeks ago, at her premises, Yoko, where her staff surprised her with a bust of herself. Now, let's talk about tonight. Tonight's statement comes in defense of President Akufo-Addo from the Upper Discov Traditional Council, which says, we all got it wrong. I'm going to bring in now Obrimpon Himadechi, the 14th, for a quick chat on the back of that statement he signed in the last few hours of the night. And good evening to you. What do you say it is that everyone is getting wrong about the golden statue?
All right. Well, it's very unfortunate sometimes the way a manner some communique is carried out. On Wednesday, but prior to Wednesday's engagement, the president's tour, his thank you tour for that matter, we had received letter of his invitation extended to Nananum that he will be in the region to thank us that at least when he came to us, the people of the Western region, to ask for our vote, the people of the Western region and Ghana as a whole actually granted him the mandate. And his tenure of office will be ending soon. So when the news actually came to us, quickly, Nananum also thought of what we could do to show appreciation to him. Because the chiefs of the Western region, we have always been lobbying the president for some developmental project in our region. And when those requests were made to him, he took it upon himself he took upon himself to initiate and execute some of those projects, as you can find in the release that I sent. Having he actually done that, then we said to appreciate him for what he has done for the region in terms of those projects. We met and we made contributions to erect the statue in his honor. But he's been to other regions where we saw people giving.
Very well. Nana, can you understand why? Nana, if you can hear me, I'm asking, can you understand why people are not happy about the statue and at this time?
We erected at the Fiankwanta runabout. That's where we erected.
No, Nana, I'm asking about whether or not you think that perhaps the people are right to be unhappy about, the statue at this time, in our lives.
Not part of them, and I've not heard anybody complain to us about it. They're not happy about it. I'm unable to speak. The of the matter is that, indeed, as we have listed in the communique, all these projects that we mentioned, we agree that some of them have not been completed, some of them. But once it has started, we hope and we anticipate that definitely it will come to completion. So once he even took the initiative to even start it, we needed to show our appreciation. And it is not the first time this thing is being done. This is not the first time. We have even gone to the extent of even honoring assembly members in our communities, where they've all contributed to developmental projects in our region. Major roads and major streets in Western region have been named after persons, individuals who have contributed to the development of the Western region. In fact, and President Akufo-Addo will not be the last to experience such a gesture from Nananum of the Western region.
See, and you say that the chiefs of Upper Discov contributed to construct this statue. How much did it cost you? Well, if you can hear me, Nana, I'm asking about how much it cost you to put together this statue. You mentioned earlier that the chiefs put together their money to do this.
Why we erected that statue? Are they saying that those reasons we gave are not there? They don't have that. We have the evidence to support it. If you go to a fair contract right now, as I speak to you, the regional hospital is currently under renovation. Bokro Hospital it has been it's almost about 98% completed. If you go to Nswaim, the hospital is functioning. If you go to to Takwa Road, it's finished. The projects are there to speak for themselves. The interchange is the market circle. So which of these projects that we are talking about, in view of which we have actually erected this statue to honor the president, are they disputing? Santa, we need to grow above this partisan way of addressing matter. It doesn't help. It doesn't actually help with development.
Very well. Nana, I was asking earlier how much it cost you to put this statue up. Oh, it would seem Nana cannot hear us, but that's okay. Nana, we'll leave our conversation. I'm going to bring in now Dr. Adam Bona, who is a watcher of, governance issues in this country. He's also a security expert. Doc, good evening to you. You heard, bits and pieces of my interview with Obrimpon Himadechi, the 14th of Upper Discov Traditional Council. Your thoughts on this statue erecting a tradition that seems to be cropping up?
Well, good evening, Kameni. It's shameful and disgraceful, to say the least. I want to believe that the first university that was erected in the north, the UDS, was erected, by the use of the late President Rawlings' own money that was donated to him. But when you go onto the UDS campus, I don't think you would see any statute of a sort. I think he even disagreed when they wanted to name it after him. That is humbling. I think, UHAS, the one in the Volta region, I think it was erected by John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency. I haven't seen a bust. And so you can talk about Nkrumah, the good old motorway, and so many, structures in this country that you can name after Nkrumah. You can say Nkrumah built them from the scratch, including the Akosombo Dam. Let's erect Kwame Nkrumah's statue in front of us who are entering Akosombo, just so we can make Kwame Nkrumah happy in his grave. It's needless. And you have, I don't know whether it's a cabinet decision, but you have, some appointees of this government also erecting these things, including the one that has been disgracefully installed within the Iyoko vicinity. And I would want to call it the Obatamboni Corruption Gardens. And I say so because, we all know what EOCO is supposed to be doing, and they are doing the reverse. And so to have EOCO workers, as if to say that the facility called EOCO belongs to them, and they are children and generation, and therefore they unilaterally could erect a bust for, their boss, who to them, and I believe that she might have paid for it. And mine is that no one seems to have questioned her when she said that she didn't even know that they are doing it. That is itself a red flag. That should have led the president in dismissing her. But I don't believe the president will do that.
I mean, when you listen to Obrimpong suggests that this really had nothing to do with the president. It was a surprise for the president. The chiefs themselves had come together to make their contribution to put up the statue.
Well, mine is that, so we're in the season of surprises, and the season of EOCO Daubatam Boni, corruption gardens at EOCO named after Mami Atiwa. So she said it was a surprise. This one too, the chiefs and people are saying it was a surprise to the president. You see, you heard other people saying they will take it down. I am told that the one at the, in the Western region, some indigents have threatened to pull it down, and the same thing, to the EOCO one. Right. It means that we have a security situation at hand. And I'm told that the one in the Western region is under 24-hour surveillance and 24-hour security. Why should we do that to ourselves?
But why can't the president be appreciated? Why can't the president, have a statue of himself somewhere?
Be appreciated for doing what? For electing him and paying his house help and buying his fuel and, taking care of him and making sure that he will never need anything till he dies. I mean, is that what you are saying? The infrastructure you see, did it come from his pockets? It is from the taxpayer. And so mine is that he cannot say he should be appreciated. If the people of Ghana deems it fit to appreciate any leader, even if it's a school prefect, at any given point, will duly do so. And so mine is that it is needless, self-aggrandizing, and, to say the least, that this is just a security challenge the president is leaving us whilst he is on his way out.
Oh, I mean, how can you explain that? How is that a security challenge he's leaving us?
Do you heard someone in the Western region say, we will take this thing down? Do you know what that means? It means some people are going to drag it and break it down. And you would need the security agencies to either stop them or to look on. I have had tons of messages sent to me when the one erected disgracefully within the EOCO corruption gardens was done. And they're telling me, I mean, people sent it to me, young people, some I don't know them, saying that they would break through the gate when the day comes to take down that one too. Are we not living, security challenge behind? Are we supposed
will you then be telling people to put a stop to this practice?
No, I'll tell them to put a stop to it and tell them to go through due process to bring them down. But the truth is that, I mean, I won't be there. I won't be standing there. But I can only appeal that they shouldn't take the laws into their own hands, because then that is not how we are supposed to behave. But why should our leaders be doing this? Now, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have the toll booths any longer. And I don't know, excuse me to say, for those who are eating. Those days, toilets, the moment there's change of government, people run amok, they take over toll booths, they take over toilets. So what is going to happen if we are not careful, even though I won't encourage it, is that when there is change of government, these busts are going to be taken down. Security officers, are they able to control it, even though I don't support it? And so mine is that the president is on his way out. He's signed out, he's checked out. What he can do for us is to go humbly, instead of, all these things we are seeing. I think
indeed, Doc, I appreciate you talking to us. Indeed, Doc, I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you so much. Dr. Adam Bona is a security expert. He's also a government watcher and a commentator. We've been talking about the erection of statues of the president and another official of the government. Now, I want to take the conversation back to Obrimpong Himadechi, the 14th. He signed that statement that extricated the president from the statue that has been put up at Ifian Kwanta runabout in the Western region. Then I was asking you earlier, how much did that cost?
Yes, I said it's around 30,000 Ghana cedis.
I see.
How much we contributed.
I see. And all of you contributed, all the chiefs in Upper Discov contributed to this? You know, contributed the 30,000 cedis to erect that? Well, it would appear I've lost Nana again. Perhaps we should move on to some other matters now. But Obrimpong, I appreciate you talking to us. Obrimpong Himadechi, the 14th, is a member of the Upper Discov Traditional Council. He signed that statement that was released in the last few hours of the evening. I want to turn attention to something else because it's National Farmers Day. Indeed, I was waiting for that sound. It's National Farmers Day, and children of cocoa farmers will get free university education next year. That's the latest promise from Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. But the question is, will they really? I'll tell you more right now. Tonight, flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, is promising free university education for children of cocoa farmers. His comments come on the day when the country is marking National Farmers Day. The Vice President was speaking to the chiefs and people of the Odotobri constituency, where he promised to reduce the burden on parents.
Koko Equiafua first no na Cocoa Board Emma Omoma scholarships Omoko Senior High School Cocoa Board scholarships Cocoa Board Emma Omo Eco Senior High School and then free SHS Ninti Ubiaba Eco Senior High School free Eninti Abain Afa Adwin say sikana na yedi tuya koko ekuafo omama fees no from next year koko ekuafo omama Cocoa Board ebetuya omu university fees free ama koko ekuafo ma. So new policy ebema koko ekuafo ma under Cocoa Board Omo program.
That was Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, who's explaining in that sound clip you just watched that the scholarship is a replacement of the Cocoa Board scholarship scheme made redundant by the Free Senior High School program. Now, stay with me. I'm going somewhere in this. Because back in May this year, Cocoa Board originally announced the dissolution of the scholarship scheme. In a statement, it said it will set up the Ghana Cocoa Board Education Trust in place of the scheme, quote, that it says had lost its core purpose, unquote. The natural question then really is, what is the trust meant to achieve? The statement tells us, don't bother over that. The primary objective of the Education Trust, it goes on to say, is clearly to focus on providing essential primary school infrastructure in underserved cocoa growing areas. I'll say that again. The primary objective of the Education Trust is to clearly focus on providing essential primary school infrastructure. Let's see all of it. In underserved cocoa growing areas. Now take note of these words, or operative phrases, so to speak. Primary objective, essential primary school, underserved cocoa growing areas. So then, a few questions naturally pop up tonight for the NPP presidential candidate. When he said the Cocoa Board Scholarship Scheme was going to be replaced by the Scholarship for Education or University Education, was he referring to the trust? If he was, is he aware that Cocoa Board does not indicate it plans to use the newly set up trust to fund university education? Perhaps you munch over that. Perhaps you already came to your conclusion. But let's say I am wrong for asking these questions. So I took the liberty to check the NPP manifesto. And I'll tell you why. It is this administration that made a promise and later told the people it was not fulfilled because the promise was not contained in the manifesto. So I had to double check. Guess what I found? Promises on the cocoa sector. Undertake a mop-up exercise to enroll any cocoa farmer missed in the ongoing Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme. Strengthen Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana. Let's take a look at the next one. In respect of farm rehabilitation project, engage and pay farmers directly to cut down diseased cocoa trees and replant the farms. Support farmers to scale up the annual treatment and rehabilitation of diseased farms. They're small. Continue to pay adequate compensation. Improve access to agricultural services. Incentivize the private sector to invest in large cocoa plantations. Initiate youth and women in cocoa farming program. Encourage the use of CRIG-approved high-value crops as intercrops. Ensure transparency and efficient service delivery to cocoa farmers and liberalize the input supply market. Plus, tackle the challenges of climate change, aging farms, pests, and diseases. Are you still waiting to hear something on free university of education? Well, that's going to be a really long wait because my producers and I found nothing, nada. Now, while we wait on some clarity from Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, let's move right along now and have a chat with former Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Dr. Charles Nyaba. Doc, I appreciate you talking to us tonight, but what's your reaction to this promise by the NPP's presidential candidate?
Thank you so much. I think, just like you said, this is very problematic. In the first place, we had similar promises in the past, which never came to light. Secondly, this is not also found in their own manifesto. So we think that if you have the second gentleman of the land who always on the several platforms, found of making statements which cannot be found on any grounds, then we find it very difficult to believe that he actually means his words. I say this because we have opportunity of encountering him on different platforms on some promises. They later on found out that he actually didn't mean it. So for us as farmers, it will be difficult for us to take these promises very serious. Now, let's look at the earlier arrangement. That was to provide scholarship schemes to cocoa farmers, children of cocoa farmers. Even with that, majority of most of the real children of cocoa farmers were not the beneficiaries. It turned out that most of the beneficiaries, over 80%, were coming from workers of Cocoa Board. The few slots that were meant for children of cocoa farmers went to owners of cocoa farms. Because if you look at the actual workers of cocoa, those people do not own the cocoa. The owners sometimes live in the cities, they live in the capital towns, and then they contract people who go to take care of the cocoa farms, and then when the harvest comes, they pay those people for the work that is done. So they are the real people who work on the cocoa, and they are those who actually need those support.
I see, though. I hear you say that the farmers should take this with a grain of salt, but if this was actually implemented, how helpful would it be to the cocoa farmers?
Yeah, it will be, because there's nobody who will not want to be helped. Because even with the pre-education, we have occasions where parents are not able to afford to take their kids to the tertiary institutions. So if this actually comes to fruition, for us, we think it's a good thing. Who doesn't want free things? We will welcome it. But we cannot trust that this will actually happen, because we just think that it's a statement on a campaign platform, which is usually very difficult for you to hold them to account for that.
I see. Now, the Vice President has made the promise. We have put together, the issues at hand, the fact that, the scheme indeed has been dissolved. Cocoa Board has replaced it with a trust fund. It said the primary objective is for it to be used to improve primary education infrastructure in underserved cocoa areas or communities. I mean, what was the Vice President trying to do, in your opinion?
Yeah, so that's why I think that he got it wrong. Even if you look at the trust fund, it's not meant for all cocoa farmers. It's underserved cocoa communities. So if you just make a blatant statement that the incoming, if the incoming president to be, provided he's voted for, children of cocoa farms will benefit from free education. I don't think that is real, based on what is in the Cocoa Board own policy and what is in MPP own policies. So for us, we think certain times politicians need to be a bit real, and they shouldn't take people for granted. And to our colleague farmers, I don't think we should be too much excited about this, because there are several grounds to suggest that he doesn't mean it, and that when he wins, when it comes to actual implementation, it will be possible.
Very well, Doc. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Dr. Charles Nyaba is former executive director for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We've been talking about the latest promise the MPP's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been making to cocoa farmers. We are asking for clarity from the flag bearer. We look forward to hearing from him or his team in the future. Anyway, let's turn attention to something else. Now, minor facing manslaughter charges for the crash that killed 2 preteen girls, remanded once again. All that we know and more right now. Tonight, we're picking up pieces of information. The 16-year-old boy who's accused of causing the East Legon 2 car crash that killed 2 12-year-old girls has been remanded again. The boy now facing manslaughter charges as the minor appeared before a family and juvenile court November 7th. Now, this is the second appearance for the lad who was pleaded not guilty. Tonight, the question is, where is he being kept until his next arraignment on November 13th? Well, over the next 5 days. We've been following the story closely, and we've got some education for you. My producer and lawyer, Dennis Wedam, has got us covered. I like how I say that. It would look like you're about to be my counsel.
Well, I am your counsel already.
Tell us what's happening. I mean, what's there to know?
Well, so there's been questions about where exactly the juvenile has been taken to now. There are many who say he hasn't been taken to a correctional center as was ordered by the court. But I mean, something has to be said about it when it comes to juvenile and where they are remanded. So that's why I pull out the Section 23 of the Juvenile Justice Act, which talks about the remand of juveniles and what possibly can be done when a juvenile is remanded. Well, when the court remands a juvenile, there are some options. Either to commit the juvenile to the care of the juvenile's parents, even though he's in remand. Also, they can commit that juvenile to a guardian or a close relative or any fit person who is willing to take care of the juvenile. It's not all instances that when the juvenile is remanded, he or she must necessarily be taken to a correctional center or a borstal homes, as we used to call them. So it's possible that,
and
yes,
who is to determine that?
The courts.
Right.
So when the court, ordinarily the court should grant bail to juveniles, but where the court finds that it becomes necessary, maybe for the safety of the juvenile himself or herself, or in the interest of the community to remand the juvenile, they can consider all these possible options, including the borstal home or the correctional center, and then all these options, committing that juvenile to the parents' care, guardian's care, or a relative. Now, in doing so, I mean, when it comes to remanding the juvenile to a remand home, it has to be one which is situated within the area of jurisdiction of the court. So they cannot remand a juvenile, say, to go out of Accra when they are sitting in Accra. So the questions about where this juvenile had been taken to and whether indeed he was, of course, but if the court makes an order that take the juvenile here, you must take the juvenile, in there.
Like it happened in the
last week.
Yes.
So you would notice that last week's order, when the police gave us an update, they were categorical as to what they said, that he should be taken to a correctional center. However, he was in court yesterday. We are unable to tell where exactly he's been taken to after that, but we do understand that he was remanded again.
Right.
Now, mind you, the remand period for a juvenile must necessarily not exceed 7 days.
Right.
That's how come each time they remand the juvenile, he has to be brought back to court on the 7th day for that remand warrant to be renewed for him to be sent back. Cumulatively, you cannot remand a juvenile for more than, I think, 2 months. 3 months, sorry.
Right.
So if they keep remanding him, when it's 3 months, they cannot remand him again.
Right.
Now, something else happened along the line of the trial. I think the lawyers for the boy had come to court to make a plea to the court that the court makes an order towards people who put out the boy's images.
Now, before you talk about that, I just want to stay on this one for a little bit, because there had been some confusion surrounding whether or not, like you indicated, whether or not the boy had been sent to the correctional facility or he had been taken home. I mean, what we are doing now is to show people that there is that provision in the law surrounding juvenile justice or juvenile cases, that, you know, the remand could be either in a correctional facility, juvenile correctional facility, or you could be given to your own parents, your parents,
or your relatives,
or
any person,
and absolutely,
take care of the
absolutely. And what we also noticed with this case is, in the first instance, the police released a statement to say that he had been taken to the Osu Correctional Facility.
Yes.
In this one, we don't know.
Yes, because that was because the court made a specific order in that regard.
Right.
Unfortunately, because of the nature of proceedings when it comes to juveniles, it's not an open court affair. So typically, they will sit in a different part of the court, or they will sit on days that ordinary court days don't sit. So you don't get the privilege of getting that information as you would when it comes to an adult. So in this, you only have the parties, the court officers, and any other person that the court would want to be part of the proceedings. So it's more like a secretive thing. Indeed. So that's how come, as it stands now, even though we have information that he's been remanded again, we're unable to tell categorically where he's been taken to. And it's in conformity with the juvenile justice.
Absolutely. And what we are saying with that is, before you jump into conclusions that the police is not doing its job, you must know this law. And that's why we're bringing this education
Precisely
today.
so. Yes. So the other point I was making, so the family or the lawyers for the juvenile had made a plea to the court that an order be made against people who publish the images of the boy on the internet and all that. But then they were told that, no, there's no need doing that because there's a law which already protects juvenile when it comes to training. That law I'll show you pretty shortly. And that each time they see somebody publish the images of the child, they can make a complaint to the police, and the police will take that up. So when you look at Section 3 of the Juvenile Justice Act, it says that a juvenile has the right to privacy during arrest, the investigation of an offense, the trial of the offense, and at any other stage of the course or matter. Now pay attention to 3.2. A person shall not in the course of the arrest, investigation, or trial of an offense connected with a juvenile or at any other stage of the course or matter release any information for publication that may lead to the identification of the juvenile. This is very important, and I'll show you a few things that we have also observed here, which moving forward, we recommend that it has to be changed. Now, the police themselves have been releasing statements in respect of this matter. But what do? The police would release a statement. This is one of the statements that was released by the Ghana Police Service, where they were refuting some claims, suggesting that the boy in question was not taken to the correctional center. They indicate the age of the boy, they put his name out there, they tell who his parents are, and a lot more information of that.
Right.
When you put these pieces together, you're able to identify the person. That clearly cannot be in conformity with what section 3.2 this talks about. Sorry, not here. So I showed you an earlier provision.
They look almost the same.
Yes. Here. So clearly, it prohibits you from putting out information that will lead to the identification of the juvenile. But why then do the police keep putting the boy's name out there, his parents' name and all that?
Yeah, good question.
I mean, the police have come a long way. They used to round up suspects and put their pictures on the internet. Now we are in an era where they don't do that anymore. Sometimes they blur the suspects' faces. Moving forward, we expect that at least when they're handling things that have to do with the kids or juveniles, they'll apply this.
Okay, very well.
Because just as much as it's an accused person, he also did, it has to be done.
Absolutely.
In line with.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us all that education. Dennis Wedam Kwaberi. Did I say it right?
I'll take it.
We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Once said,
we are building a new harbor in Cape Coast and a new airport in Cape Coast.
In 2020, we were promised an airport and a harbor. Fast forward to today, absolutely
Well, happy to know that you're still here with us. It's time for me to go, unfortunately. Remember, I told you about the newest artist on the block. Unfortunately, I can't bring you that at the moment. I'll do that, same time next week. But tomorrow at 7 a.m., join Alfredo Kanse and his panelists for Key Points, 7 a.m. Remember that, right here on TV3. And then I'll also see you on Sunday, 2 p.m. with Hot Issues. This week, my guest is the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansah. We had a very, very explosive, fiery conversation on the Supreme Court versus Parliament, the leadership crises, and seating arrangement debacle in the House at the moment. He had some really interesting thoughts on those. If you want to see snippets of that, find them on our YouTube pages. I'm Kemeni Amano. I'm so glad you could stay with us the last 60 minutes or so, but this is why I part ways with you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you same time Friday. Bye-bye.